I just have found that we're like in the golden era of making money for building stuff, and it's more accessible and easier to do than ever.
My recommendation to people is like build some apps with like Webflow Member Stack Make.
100%.
Even if you're not going to use it, that will teach you how things function, and your brain changes to understand these like logic. How is it going with you?
I'm doing good, man. I've been loving your videos. You've been doing it's really good, really entertaining.
Thank you.
And I'm learning a lot of good stuff. So yeah, no, so it's good.
What are you building with these days? What are you doing these days? Or are you even building these days?
Yeah, I mean, I am. To be honest, I'm still using a lot of the same tools that I used when I started, so like the Webflow stack, Airtable, all those kind of things. Yeah. But I'm now like using AI way more in a lot of different aspects of it. And I'm actually tying it into the work that I am doing. So I've got my own things that I've still got going on, for example, like the Unicorn Factory and various other projects that I've kind of got running. Those projects, when I set them up, were really like a great starting point for me to kind of get familiar with the tools and kind of, practice, the building businesses. But like now, for most parts, what I do is I get it set up, I get it to a point where it's making enough money, and then I just hire someone to run it for me. And so that's mostly what I'm doing. What I'm spending most of my time doing right now is actually mostly client work. And it's kind of like a random one, because I didn't think that after like having pretty much fully stopped doing client work after like the Unicorn Factory and all that kind of stuff, that I'd go back to it. But I just have found that we're like in the golden era of making money for building stuff, and it's more accessible and easier to do than ever. Like a lot of the things that would take me like a long time to get set up in Webflow, Airtable, setting up all that kind of stuff, I've just got like such a rock solid process for it down now that I can actually churn out these sites so much faster. I've got like people who help me with like design aspects of things. So I've kind of like turned it into like a well-oiled machine for just like building stuff. And so that is mostly what I'm focused on right now. I still do consulting. When I set up like my YouTube channel, I also had like courses and like a little online community that I did, which I still run. But I've definitely moved more towards wanting to do more work at the higher end of people's budgets rather than wanting to sell courses. Not that I have a problem with selling courses and stuff like that. It's part of it as well, but it's kind of just like the shift towards, now's the time to really cash in on the fact that people want to build things. The tools are making it easier to build things. And I've kind of like carved out a little niche for myself in the kind of directory and marketplace space. And so that's pretty much what I'm doing.
Excellent. So you made the switch very much so back to client work. It's funny. A lot of people who are doing client work, they kind of think, I don't want to be doing client work. Like, let me build a product that's going to make me money so I don't need to do client work.
Yeah.
But then when you're not doing client work, it's like you kind of miss client work, because something that you can't get from anything else is like you're working on something different all the time. Yeah. And it's like quick project, move on to the next. It's very dynamic, whereas working on one individual product can get repetitive. It has its own pros, obviously, but like there's both. And what are you building with?
Okay, so I focus primarily on like the MVP stage of things. So people are literally coming to me at like the first stage of all of this. And so I'm still primarily using like Webflow for the front ends. I'm using Airtable as like the database. I'm using not so much Make anymore. I'm pretty much just using like Airtable scripts and stuff like that now. So this is kind of one of the ways that Airtable, like using AI, has kind of tied into things. And yeah, it's basically like a lot of the things that I used to do with like various plugins and stuff like that. I'm just like using AI to kind of create like custom versions of it, upload it to like Cloudflare, and then kind of just go through there. Not because I'm trying to do fancy things, mostly because it just makes it more efficient. So like if I'm using like an AI coding tool, it's actually a lot more efficient for me to write the code in something like Cursor and then push it to somewhere like Cloudflare and then I don't have to go through the process of manually configuring every single attribute with this, this, and this. And I've just found that for me, it's made those workflows way more efficient. Yeah. But then again, it's like use case dependent. For a lot of like user account type things, what I'm mostly using right now, I mean, like there's a mix, but I mostly use Glide, which is, again, it's a pure no-code tool, but they have a relatively good API. It's fast to set up. I can get something in front of them like relatively fast. And the key thing is like the types of like people that I'm working with, typically just like in the let's find product market fit stage of things. And what my goal is not to build them the most like scalable platform possible and take like ages to get it done. My thing is like, how can we get it to like a point where you can actually bring something to market within like 2 to 3 weeks max and actually start using the platform? And that works really well. And just to like circle back to like the whole client work thing, for me, there are like a few reasons why I decided to go back to it. The number one thing is that like the running of these businesses, like when you're constantly setting up your own things, is fun up until a point. It's like you get your thing up and running, you start generating a bit of revenue, but then there are like parts of the process where it's just like, now you're like just shipping new things for the sake of like building new stuff that creates like heaps of technical debt, then all that kind of stuff. And I just decided that like the area that I am best at, the area that I enjoy doing the most is the whole let's get things going type of thing, get it to a stage where it's humming, and then from there, just like let someone else do it. And for me, working with clients is essentially allowing me, one, to kind of fine tune my skill set because I'm basically practicing going from like 0 to launch as fast and as efficient as possible. Plus, I don't need to worry about all the other parts, like how we're going to get customers, how we're going to do this. So the types of people that I'm working with come in with the expectations that they will not be touching any of the tools. I am literally their tech person and they are responsible for building the business. And another good thing is because of the stage that I'm coming into, I do like a lot of deals where I actually get like part equity in whatever happens. And so if there is one of them that kind of gets to the point where it's like humming big time, then, you know, I've got like invested interest in helping it go to the next level. And yeah, that is kind of like where I am with that. And it's good fun. It's a lot. It works for me. It works like my style of working. And so far so good. Who knows? Maybe at some point I'll be like, enough of this.
I mean, it sounds great to me. You get to work on a bunch of different things. Where do your clients come from? Like, how do they find you?
Honestly, YouTube. Like,
really?
Yeah, man. I mean, YouTube is like being like the gift that keeps on giving. And so I'll be completely honest with you. I don't feel like I speak about this a lot, but I don't love the YouTube part of things, if I'm completely honest. It's kind of like a little bit of a rat race of like, hey, I need to just keep making stuff for the sake of making stuff. Whereas when I started it, it was more like, oh, this is really cool. The way I'm going to learn this is by explaining to people what I've learned about this. And that was my way of documenting the process. And a lot of the work that I get is from those videos. So I make my occasional comebacks to YouTube because I've found new use cases that I find interesting and that I want to talk about and all that kind of stuff. And because my focus is oftentimes on very specific use cases, it speaks to people who want to do that particular thing. So like a lot of people that find me usually say, oh, I looked up building a directory or building a marketplace and I came across your thing on YouTube and I just wanted to have a chat to you. And
exactly.
I
mean, you're basically doing the selling through that. A lot of people I think would think like, why would I share the exact process that I'm doing something? But if you do that in a video, everything's hard. Everything's hard. Nobody wants to, I mean, we do want to learn new things, but we don't. If somebody watches your video, sees how you do it, and they're like, well, this guy explained this really well. That's difficult though. oh,
Yeah.
he does it for people. I mean, you don't need to get a whole bunch of views on a video for that to pay off. Like I was watching earlier today, maybe your most recent video, one of your most recent videos, it was about a marketplace business model, about going
Yep.
subscription. And that is like so niche that like you could get 20 viewers on that video, and like one of them is probably going to be an ideal client for you.
Funny you say that. Most of the people that end up becoming like the ones that have become like my bigger clients have all watched the most obscure how to set up Stripe Connect with this and this thing. The thing is, when I make the YouTube videos, I do genuinely come from a perspective of, oh, this is like how I do this. This is kind of like a fun way to document it. It's not so much like, let's create something that I can use to sell. It just, the leads and the sales kind of just come from it. There are also tons of people who watch those videos who will never hire me to build their things because they're just not like at that stage of their build. I mean, like I know that when I was getting started with my stuff, there's like zero chance I would have paid anyone any amount of money to build me this kind of thing. And so in a way I kind of want those videos to help those people out as well. I mean, like, you'll know. I mean, like, the videos that I've been watching you make are just such a great way to kind of spark people's interest and in a certain way of doing it. And what I have found is that over time, people come back. Like, that they'll always remember you for being like, oh, I watched like a video of you doing this, and this, like 2 years ago, and I want to hire you to help me do this and that. And yeah, it's cool. I mean, like, ultimately that is kind of what is like one of the main reasons why I do it, just to help people get going, create some stuff, have fun, you know?
That is exactly what I always recommend to people who are getting started. Like, make content. It takes a while because it's exactly that. Somebody doesn't, I mean, I'm sure it happens sometimes. Somebody's not going to watch your video and then just be like, let me pay this guy now. All of a sudden, like an impulse buy, like it's like a pair of socks on Black Friday. They'll see you. They know who you are. They'll maybe see you again. They'll see you reference. They'll see a thumbnail. They don't even watch the video. And it just builds up over time. And you get to a point where, I mean, when was your last YouTube video posted? Wasn't it like a couple months ago?
Yeah, a couple months ago.
And like, you've still got people in.
I do it in seasons now as well. There was like a point where I was stressing myself out about like, oh, I need to make this video. Now I'm just like, nah. When I feel like I have something to share, I'll share it. And then I won't make it in like, I won't make one video. I'll make like 7 or 8, and it will be like a chunk. So like, there was like the whole building a directory phase of things, which I kind of got into, and it was like a really great way of exploring that use case. But then I was like, there's nothing more to say. Like, now I'm like recycling shit. If I just keep making videos for the sake of making videos, I feel like if I were like primarily a content creator, that would be a horrible strategy of just like doing it whenever you feel like it. But I just see it as like something I do when I feel like doing it. And I feel like that makes it more sustainable for me, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot I'd want to make content about now. I just need to find a way to string it all together.
So speaking of making content about things now, one thing I got to ask you, so you said you're mainly using Webflow and Airtable to make MVPs.
Yeah. I mean, I am using, I've dabbled in all of it, you know, like I'm primarily spending time in like Cursor or like various AI tools at the moment. I don't spend that much time in the tools, but the main reason why I still use Webflow, for example, is just because I understand it. Like it's not that much of a time suck for me to actually just go in there, set it up and get going. Wrestling with building front ends, even though it's clearly getting better, actually takes me more time getting it to the state that I want it in than to just build it in Webflow and then kind of go from there. With that being said, I also have like a very specific use case that I'm working on. I'm not like building different apps all the time. I feel like if I were building different apps all the time, it would be a completely different story, because I feel like that's where using those tools will really speed up your workflows. But for example, where I have just like completely doubled down on is just like the automation side of things. I basically do nothing in Make anymore. For me, I am just using MCPs for days. I basically teach Cursor or Claude I basically feed it my API docs and the API documentation and like my schemas and stuff like that. And then I just describe the workflows that I want it to create, and it like writes me basically one-shot scripts that I can just copy and paste into Airtable automation, just runs the thing. And the time that it takes me to actually drag this module and drag that module in and Make, it's just like, I can do this in a fraction of the time. I love all of the tools, but for me, the main purpose of it is to actually make me more efficient. And I feel like in the automation space and database space, I've got my processes down. When it comes to the front end side of things, it's still a bit too finicky for me personally. And it's probably like a skill issue more than anything, but who knows? We're heading there, like clearly heading there.
It's actually, so if we were talking about this literally, I don't know if I feel like I've been saying 2 weeks for 2 weeks now, but Opus 4.5 and GPT-3. If we were talking about this, I'm going to say 3 weeks ago, I would have been like 100%. 100%. And I just wish I could build these UIs in Webflow and then deal with the logic side of things on my own, like diehard Claude Code user. Tried Cursor again recently, canceled it instantly. I don't know what it is. I'm diehard Claude Code.
Yeah.
Now I am quite literally making front ends with AI that are like better than anything I can build in Webflow. Can I show you super quickly?
100%. Well, this is like one of the main reasons why I reached out to you, because I see the videos that you're making and I'm like, oh dude, you're figuring this out, because here's why you're figuring this out is because you actually have the skill set to fall back on to understand how everything fits together, which is something that if you do not know some of the basics, it's just like you're just wrestling with this thing all day long, Yeah,
literally. I gave a speech on that. There's like a Webflow. It's sponsored by Webflow, not official Webflow conference in Serbia every year. Great conference. But anyways, I gave a speech on that last year about how, you could just jump into vibe coding, but like, when something breaks, if you have no idea of how it functions, it's going to be difficult. You're going to have, like, I'm getting my wife into vibe coding now, and it's very funny because, like, there's these things which I just noticed that she wouldn't notice. Like, her dev server kept starting, and it was a different project altogether. I look at it, she has no idea. How would anyone know what that is? Like, there's different projects. I go in, and there's literally nested folders with, like, Claude just decided to make a new project like 5 different times. So my recommendation to people is like build some apps with like Webflow member stack make or Glide.
100%.
Learn it. Even if you're not going to use it, that will teach you how things function, and your brain changes to understand these like logic, basically.
100%. So like, I couldn't agree more with you, because like, the abstraction that no-code, no-code basically teaches you databases, front ends, auth. And so when you start working with like newer tools like Supabase and all those kinds of things, you can kind of make the connection between how everything works together. The thing is, there are like subtle little differences in how no-code works versus code. And that's that little learning barrier that you just have to overcome, And I feel like, I feel like nowadays I'm so in tune with just like asking, so that you kind of fill those gaps pretty quickly. And then before you know it, you're slowly making those transitions into those tools anyway. Like for me, like a big thing has been like using agents and skills and like commands to basically streamline how I use different tools in Claude. And like, once you get those basic concepts, it's easier than you think it is, but it's also hard if you don't understand what's happening.
Yeah. It feels like steps to me. And
Yeah.
you're on the ground floor if you know nothing about anything.
Yeah.
If you are a full stack developer who actually knows what they're doing, you're up here. And it just feels like there's steps along the way. And no code to me feels like the first step to take from nothing, because you're actually understanding logic. Like something, and I'm going to share my screen while I start talking. Something I'm wondering now is like, I have this foundation because I have built it on building a bunch of different things. But if someone's coming in now, I feel like it would be hard for them to go, okay, I'm going to learn how to like string together Webflow with other tools to build these apps, when I could just, talk to Claude Code and have it do it. I'm glad I did it, but I don't know if the future of people are going to do it.